welcome everyone to live chat. Hope you're all doing really well. I just did a video. I haven't posted it yet, but I just filmed one about 10 minutes ago. And I'm just gonna kind of wait and see if anybody pops into this chat. We'll go for maybe an hour at the most, is what I'm thinking. Just kind of wait around a minute and see who gets in here. I see we've got somebody in the chat. Hello and welcome. Hope you're doing well. Just kind of taking a stroll through the woods today. Three-eyed nomad, what's up? How are you? As always, loving the little Piccolo logo there. I actually just got my son a Super Saiyan Goku toy. He's all about Goku, man. He points, he's like, Goku, Goku. I love it. Love it, love it. So yeah, it's kind of been cool to like connect with old interests that I had, you know, when I was younger, like Dragon Ball Z. I know we talked about that quite a bit the last time. Like Batman too. I wasn't like a huge fan, you know, but I had a lot of Batman stuff when I was little, and it's kind of giving me a chance to like revisit the stories and, you know, study some of the deeper psychological components of it. I think that's another video I want to do too, is kind of the esoteric side of Batman. I was reading a comic, I think it's Arkham. There's a longer title to it than that, but they had like Aleister Crowley in there. They talked about him. They had the tarot cards. And then come to find out that one of the authors of that comic is a chaos magician. It said it right in the bio. I can't remember what his name was, but I thought that was super interesting. I'm well, thank you, and thank you. Of course, always. Always a pleasure to have you here. Just enjoy hanging out together. Love it. Yeah, I like to revisit things nowadays and with my knowledge today. Exactly. It's like every time you go back and you play a game, you know, a certain video game, or you watch a certain movie or whatever, it's you're able to, you know, really take a lot more in each time that you know, watch it. You're able to like assimilate more knowledge, especially if you study, you know, like the lore, the deeper lore of it all. And yeah, there's definitely like a phase in my life where it's like me watching and enjoying all that stuff before I got into esotericism, and then after, you know, learning about a lot of the esoteric stuff, I had a totally, you know, much deeper perspective on it. And I think that goes on and on, you know, for our entire lives, as long as we're, you know, studying and learning and growing. Each time that we revisit old, you know, things that we enjoyed, we're going to be able to just have that much more appreciation for it. Be able to get a little bit more from it the next time around. Rose, how are you? Hey. Hey. Glad to have you here. So make sure we're getting thumbs up in here. I think you have to hit, if you're on a phone, sometimes you have to hit the 3 little dots in the corner. I think that's how that works. But yeah, today is beautiful. It is really beautiful outside. And walking through the woods now, but I think once I get out of the woods, I might actually walk around the block a little bit, walk down the street and stuff too. I'm usually always doing my stuff back here just because this is where it's the most quiet. I can really get away back here for the most part. It's kind of your own little world, as you can see. It's beautiful. Nature is so beautiful. Johnny, keep Japan Japanese. Not a fan of the Dragon Ball Z stuff, huh? The mangas. I'll tell you what, man. Some of these mangas, I think I'm pronouncing it right. They have really deep stories, man. And even like Black Clover, that one, like the Golden Dawn, is one of the night orders in that show / anime, and in the later episodes of that, they actually get into like the Qliphoth and stuff. So that's like super interesting. Super interesting. I haven't gotten that far in the show yet. That's kind of why I want to buy some of the manga for it. Hope you are well. I am doing pretty well, man. I am doing well. Thank you very much. There's been a lot of transitional energies lately. Have you guys felt that? Like a lot of stuff is kind of changing quite drastically. Oh, I'll go this way. Looks like there's some people working over there. They're adding some new trail to this place. So, lots of work being done back here. I used to come back here and meditate all the time. There used to be like nobody back here. But I think people are starting to find out about this place a little bit more. So, but typically when I do my meditations, like if I'm doing any kind of like actual, if I'm doing any actual exercises other than just like sitting still meditation, I don't really do it out here anymore. I would just prefer to do it inside in a room, where the energy is a little bit more controlled. If somebody stumbles across you and you're just like meditating, you're just in a sitting position, it's not going to shock them that much. As if rather you're doing like a full-blown like, ritual procedure or something like that. That's not something that you really want other people to see. It's definitely going to affect your magic. I did have an incident like that once when some people were walking up to me and I literally had to just stop what I was doing. I had to stop in the middle of the operation and then just pretend like I wasn't doing anything, All right, we got 2 thumbs up in here and we've got 6 people in the chat. So make sure we can get those thumbs up if you can. I would definitely appreciate it. Can I ask a kind of weird, broad question? What do you truly believe happens after death? I know this is a cliche question. My bike path in Circleville, Ohio used to be empty, but now it's so busy unless you go in the early AM or sunset. Yep. It's just really hard to find like secluded places in nature. And I think really as a society, like we should kind of have that figured out by now. I just think that families should have, their little piece of land and, they can do what they want on their land and stuff. I know there's a system to everything, and if there's not some kind of system and control, it can all go haywire. So it's all weird how the nuances of society are structured, but I'm learning as I get older, there's reasons for certain, things put in place. But at the same time, it would be nice if everyone just kind of had their own like little nature areas to explore. But you were asking about what do you truly believe happens after death? I think it's a hard thing to really know for a fact. All the intricacies of that. There are a lot of people who have like near-death experiences, NDEs they call them. There's whole YouTube channels dedicated to that sort of thing. And I think you should go and maybe check out some of those, like see what people's experiences are. But I think ultimately, it's really impossible to say. You can be really adept in like spiritual matters and, spiritual things. And really at the end of the day, you're still just going to kind of have this inner knowingness, this kind of, you understand there is this process, and you kind of understand that the soul has to go through different stages. It has to have different incarnations. It has to manifest as different things. But the exact process as to how this works and, how do our souls get from one, this experience or this lifetime to the next, what is the exact process of that? It's really hard to say. It's really hard to say, and I'm not going to claim to know all these things. I think the soul probably does go through some kind of judgment. It's really you facing yourself. So you're connecting with the highest aspect of source. It's literally source, where everything comes from, and you're like reconnecting with that, after your so-called physical life, and you're kind of reflecting. You're given time to reflect. Universal Mastery refers to this space after your incarnation as the soul space. And it's kind of where you reconnect with all the different aspects of yourself, or your soul family, your soul tribe, you could call it that. People who kind of follow you incarnation through incarnation, or you're evolving together in these different groups. You're almost like learning to form your own social memory complex in a way, as you're kind of shifting your way through the dimensions or through the densities. We're mostly like in a third density experience. A lot of people are kind of, I think their consciousness is experiencing like fourth and fifth density awareness or understandings, but we're still overall, third density from what I understand. Moving as a collective into fourth density. I know this is a lot of stuff being thrown at you at once, so it's just some things to take into consideration. I don't have like an overall answer for you. I know in Egyptian lore they use like the weighing of the heart. I think that's a really good metaphor. Like, will your heart be weighed literally? No, but like your essence, it's like what you truly stood for, like the good effects that you left in this world, all the good influences, just how you helped shape and mold this reality, and how you influenced other, souls, which are really just aspect of yourself, their evolution. The whole scheme of all of this will be taken into account. It'll be like imagine a supercomputer just, figuring out all this information very quickly, just processing it, and be like, okay, this is the summation of what you've learned. Now your soul is going to be sent somewhere where, whatever experience is right for you, that's where you're going to be sent next, essentially. But yeah, you can study H.P. Blavatsky and like Theosophy, the Theosophical Society stuff. She has the book called The Secret Doctrine. I know they have their views on like kind of how the soul, the different parts of the soul, and how the whole resurrection process takes place, how the soul transmigration, it's like transmigration from one incarnation to the next. Just a lot of different concepts, I'm throwing out kind of at once. But yeah, I've heard a lot about near-death experiences. Hard to really know what happens with something that we haven't experienced yet or don't remember experiencing. See, that's the thing. I think I have watched the NDE channels, and they talk about a life review. Yeah, you do get kind of like you get to see like your life or whatever flash before your eyes kind of deal. That's why I recommend people that they kind of like do a life review every now and again, like kind of try to go back into those moments, especially those moments where you need healed or you need to work on those like particular aspects of yourself, and kind of sit with that and just allow it to be what it is. And then you can, go from there. That way you're not like running from it. You're just kind of coming to a certain level of acceptance or understanding for it. But yeah, I think, too, it's, death. They say that people that do like DMT, your brain, they say your brain secretes it when you sleep. Is that it? And also when you die too. So it kind of gives you an experience of what it could be to kind of have that death experience, I guess. I don't really know a lot about it other than what I've studied in books and stuff. So I'm assuming death could almost feel like it could almost be like a psychedelic type of experience too, in a way, or very like analogous to that. I always liked in Harry Potter, it's the very last movie. Harry, he's about to die. He's about to, like, quote unquote, sacrifice himself or whatever, but then he gets resurrected. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched the Harry Potter movies, but he asks his Uncle Sirius, he's like, does it hurt? Dying, am I gonna feel it? And he's like, nah, it's super quick, painless, easier than falling asleep, he says. So I think people spend a lot of time like fearing it, and then that keeps them from maybe doing things they would have done otherwise if they weren't so scared of dying. But that's the thing, it's just a transition at the end of the day. It's a transition into another mode of existence. Essentially, we all have microcosmic deaths and transformations all the time in our life, very transformative periods. Even right now I'm dealing with a lot of changes and stuff, so it's been a lot to handle. I've seen someone say something about a life review and a wheel where they needed to choose a new reality or one would be chosen for them. Interesting. Manly P. Hall has a great lecture on Helena Blavatsky. I'm sure he does. That dude is very, very wise. His voice is kind of like hard to listen to, though. It's like very drab and dull. So I have a really hard time listening to any of his like lectures or interviews that he has. But I love reading his material. I don't know that I've read the entire Secret Teachings of All Ages, but I've definitely read most of the book, probably at least 80% of it. And then a lot of the parts I've used as research. So I've kind of gone back and like rechecked into it or looked over it again, pulled the information that I needed to. I think before we were put on Earth as a soul, we accepted our mission here and have some sort of learning purpose. Just my opinion. Yeah, exactly. I think that, that's what they say, is that the soul like signed up for this, essentially. Which, I mean, it does make sense, but it can be really hard to accept that sometimes because some things are just really tough. You're like, damn, like, did I really sign up for this? Did I really ask for this? So it's one of those things that's, I think that's kind of how it works, though. It's like you do come into it knowing what's going to happen, but when you're in that soul space, when you're in that space that, that we could call it that place of peace or that heavenly state in between lives, because I do believe that your soul gets a rest for a minute, to kind of collect itself before going into the next life, a review, if you will, that you have so much unconditional love in that moment, in that space. And because there's so much unconditional love, and you understand the wholeness of it. You understand the complete totality of what it is you're going into experience, and then how you're going to affect the reality by going there. Maybe there's multiple souls you like decide to go, hey, I'm going to help them through their trials and stuff, and help them in their evolutionary process. That way they can become, they can further ascend or further, move through incarnations and lifetimes and experiences together. Kind of bring them on board, so to speak. I guess that's one way of putting it. I also flew over Madison County Airport about 2 hours ago. I know that is near you. Yep. That's where I'm at right now, actually. So that's really cool. I was not outside 2 hours ago. I've probably been outside for about an hour now. I did do some running this morning. Potato, what's up, man? How are you? Glad to have you on here. Have you been active at all in your Masonic Lodge? Not a lot. I have so much going on in my personal life, and then there's a lot of things I want to do on the YouTube channel too that I have I just having trouble getting around to, but that's all right. I'm not in a super rush when it comes to any of this stuff. And in my newest video that I'm going to be posting later today, I really talk about, learning how to just enjoy where you're at and learning to be there in that present moment. Make sure we're getting thumbs up here if we can too. I see we've got 7 people in the chat. That's awesome. Welcome to the chat. We're just talking about different esoteric subjects, so feel free to leave a comment if you want to ask any questions or if there's any particular subjects you want to talk about. But no, Johnny, I haven't been able to really dedicate a lot of time to it right now, which is fine, because I went really far with it, back in the day. My most active years were from probably 2016 to 2020, right in that period. So I was really active at that time. I learned so much from it, but life just has other duties for me right now. But I'm learning to appreciate that, and I'm learning to love that, and learning to go with the flow of life and the flow of creation, kind of embracing more of that feminine energy, that current. And when you have that strong connection with source, which ultimately it's your own highest self, your highest potential, when you're in alignment with that, you're going to get pulled to the places that are right for you, So we did it to strengthen ourselves and our God bodies. Yes. Super Saiyan God form. We also did it for glory in our other realities. I think so too. I think there's a whole it's going to be a really humbling thing to be able to, one day when you're in those higher realms, you're going to say, look, I went down, quote unquote, I'm using down as I made the commitment to go to denser realities so that I could bring certain, manifestations and bring certain light and bring, certain catalysts, bring certain evolutionary components to certain areas, certain timelines of places and, experiences. So I think that's a beautiful concept there. I think you're absolutely right. We also did it for glory in our other realities. Yep, kind of that warrior spirit, that spiritual fire, being willing to come here to bring the fire like Prometheus did to mankind. I do like that concept a lot. I believe whether that be through helping people or activating yourself with or without help. Yep, exactly, all of those things. By we did it, I mean we came to Earth. Yep, yeah. Nope, I figured. I hope things straighten out in your personal life, man. Yeah, I think things will be just fine. I think everything is flowing the way that it needs to. Most definitely. Patience is a prize. Yes. If you can learn to just kind of be patient and just be able to chill and relax and give things a moment, instead of always trying to force it, instead of always having to place those super strict lines or boundaries. Now there are going to be times that you are going to want to do that. Most definitely. You have to have some kind of limitations in place so you can have that foundation, but at the same time you also want to be open and receptive to the flow. What degree did you achieve in the Scottish Rite? So I'm a 32nd, but really all that means is that I've witnessed that degree. So in Scottish Rite, they have what's called reunions, and they present, a set amount of degrees. So it might be like the 4th, the 6th, the 14th, and the 32nd degree. Like it might be those 4 degrees they're showing that day. So those are the degrees that you would receive. But all you have to do to be considered a 32nd is you have to have just witnessed that 32nd degree. So it's a lot different in the modern times from what it used to be, I think. I believe back in the day you had to actually like progress through all the degrees in a linear fashion, back in like the 1700s and the 1800s, but they've changed a lot of stuff. So it's, yeah. But yeah, I'm a 32nd. And then the 33rd is honorary, of course. They have to, you have to do something of a certain recognition, or you have to do something which contributes a lot, to the fraternity or the world at large, and then they'll kind of tap you on the shoulder and you get asked if you want to be that. You can't just like sign up for that or petition to be that. So you have to show what you're made of, so to speak. I'm doing my best to stay off the internet. Yeah, that can be really tough to do, especially when our phones have everything on them. YouTube is the only addiction I have. I do not look at TikTok or social media. I am happier. Yeah, I do just YouTube. I don't have social media anymore, which I think is a really good thing. It helps me avoid a lot of undue stress and just drama that I don't really necessarily even need to be a part of or even witness. It's my Facebook got hacked, like I think it's been a whole year now or so. I haven't had Facebook for a whole year. I do miss sharing my music on there, but I also haven't had as much time to play music, so that's fine. Like nowadays I'm just content with doing my thing and taking care of the things that I need to take care of, and really just I've been living a lot simpler of a life recently, which I'm totally okay with, because I had a lot going on there for a while, like a lot going on, and it kind of burnt me out a little bit. So yeah, I'm just kind of at that point where it's all about foundational stuff right now. So I'm totally okay with that, and learning to love the process in the meantime. Yeah, TikTok's kind of trash. All those like short videos, even the YouTube shorts, I just think they're really bad for the brain. Like they go like, I know people who will leave it on a loop sometimes, and then it just plays over and over and over again, and then it almost like kind of gets like stuck in your head to a certain degree. So it's just not. It's TikTok. It's really them just solidifying or freezing something in time. It's a lot of that Saturnian energy going on with the whole TikTok, trapping you in time. Tick tock, tick tock. I'm sure their logo has something interesting going on with it too. I've never really looked at it in detail, but we all know that corporate logos and stuff, they hold a lot of energy. Those are like sigils or talismans. All right, sweet. We got 5 thumbs up in here. I see there's 8 people. So if you're just now tuning into the chat, welcome in. I don't know that I'm going to go for that much longer. Wow, it just hit 333 here. So I've been seeing that number a lot lately, so I think that's a really good sign. I'm going to cross the road here. Why did the Tyler cross the road? So he could get to the other side and wrap this energy back around. See, even our movements, everyday movements, they all have an energetic component to them. What geometry are you making when you move? What energetic traces are you leaving behind? I was under the impression that Masonic initiation was an initiation-only event. So, if you did want to join, you fill out what's called a petition, and you can use. I know for like Ohio, for instance, there's a Grand Lodge of Ohio website, and there's a lodge locator on there, so you can find a lodge that's close to you. And you find out like what nights they have meetings. For this lodge, it's the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of every month, except for July and August. They go dark those months. They don't hold meetings. It just gets really hot in the building because there's no AC in there. It's an older building. It's a beautiful building. It's a big building, but it is older. But what you do is you just get on the Lodge Locator or the Grand Lodge website of whatever state you're in, and you can fill out a petition. And, they're looking for people. They're looking for good guys who do want to be initiated. But yeah, it's an initiation process. So usually you'll go through the 3 degrees, entered apprentice, fellow craft, and then master mason. They do have, for some people, what's called a one-day class, which is where you can actually receive all 3 degrees in one day. It's a long day, though, but that's more for people who have like really busy schedules and whatnot. So let's see. I bought that magic book you talked about. I have read about 25% of it. I don't really believe in tarot personally. Okay, I mean, that's cool. Is it Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig? Is that the one? But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who are not really open to tarot, which I guess I understand. But see, I view it as a tool. It's a tool of consciousness, and I think the whole library of the cards, especially the major arcana, the main 22, it's just they're just archetypes. They're like different archetypes that you can work with, and it's in the form of a painting or a picture. So it's like, think of it as like a condensed kind of frozen in time piece of the tree of life or archetype of yourself that you can work with. Think about it more from that perspective rather than the tarot cards, having evil spirits or summoning, weird stuff. Like, it's not so much about that. Think about it more from like a psychological perspective. Because see, you have people who are mystics who see everything as spiritual, which, I mean, that's kind of how I am. But I also understand like the psychological component to it as well. So, like Jungian archetypes, Carl Jung, Freud, all that type of stuff. So it's both, it's mystical and psychological and literal. We have the literal reality that we see before us, the objective reality, the 5 senses. That's just like the manifestation of these forces, and these forces are like these underlying components, which it's like that which is behind the scenes. That's why it's the occult. It's that which is hidden, that which is concealed. Invitation only. No, not necessarily. It used to be that way. You really had to like know one to get in, a Mason to get in back then. But nowadays, no. It's just as long as you don't have like felonies on your record, and you can prove that that's really all it is. They just do like a simple background check. They want to they'll probably ask you why you want to join. Some lodges are a little bit more intimate with their members, as in they want to get together and like meet up with you, maybe have like drinks somewhere, or maybe go out to eat before they, initiate you into the lodge. And then other lodges will just be happy to take you. They'll do a quick background check, kind of ask you some questions, and then you're pretty much invited in, as long as you're a good dude. So, yeah, it's actually a lot easier now than people think it is. It's not like a super, like, secretive elite type thing. Maybe I think it was more kind of like that back in the day, but I think there's a whole like spiritual renaissance or spiritual awakening happening kind of within the Masonic community that hasn't happened in a long time, or at least it's been more underground and people are talking about it more. Now you have brothers like P.D. Newman, who wrote the book Alchemically Stoned, and he's talking about the connection between DMT and certain Masonic rituals. So that's a big deal. He's a 32nd degree too. So I think it's cool that a lot of this type of stuff is starting to come out. What does the A7X on your shirt mean? Avenged Sevenfold? I don't know much about their symbolism. The death bat. I think they just like skulls and stuff. They like a lot of gothic influential stuff. Their music's definitely working more with the darker aspects of things. Definitely more, what we could call like negatively polarized, charged energies. And Avenged Sevenfold, I do know what the name of that means, though. They talk in Genesis about, Cain killed Abel, his brother, but if anybody laid their hands on Cain, or if they killed Cain, there would be vengeance 7 times over. And that's where the name Avenged Sevenfold comes from. So there's a lot of biblical type references in there. They talk about the whore of Babylon, I believe, in the song The Beast and the Harlot. Probably some reference to like the Scarlet Woman, that type of thing in there. So yeah, they're fairly esoteric, and they consider themselves like Christians, actually. I think like they're not your typical Christian, but they definitely believe in God, a source, whatever, their version of that may be. Johnny retracted a message. Yeah, it's Modern Magic. Cool. I pulled Temperance, Judgment, the Magician, and 9 of Chalices, I think. That's awesome, because in my new video that I'm about to post later today, I actually talk about temperance. So that's awesome. And then judgment would be part of prudence too, where you're able to kind of like look down the line of what it is that you're wanting to. You're looking down your life from a more perspective lens. You're like, okay, will this road take me to what I want, or should I follow this path? And that's something that divination can be used for in, tarot. I would not use the cards to like tell you what to do. As in, don't ask the cards, what should I do? Ask them, what will happen if I do this? So that way you're kind of getting a little view or hindsight as to what might manifest if you decide to take a certain route. But don't use the cards as the ones. Basically, don't allow them to be responsible for what you end up deciding, or don't ask the cards to just tell you what to do. Ask them rather what will manifest if I choose this specific route. But yeah, prudence. I talk about prudence, and it's one of what's called the 4 cardinal virtues, and you'll actually learn about that in Freemasonry as well if you go through with that. Yeah, I had no idea what the tarot card reading meant, so thanks for explaining it to me. What is the Magician? So, yeah, temperance is going to be where you kind of, you conserve or you hold back on certain things. When you're practicing temperance, fasting is a form of temperance. If you're a smoker, instead of smoking a whole pack of cigarettes, maybe you only decide to smoke like 1 or 2 cigarettes for the day instead of like a whole pack. That would be practicing temperance. It's like cutting back on certain things. That way you can be a little bit more spiritually and energetically aligned with your higher self. That way your body's not giving in to all these hungers and things which would quote unquote lower your vibration or kind of pull you out of resonance a little bit with your authentic self. The Magician it's the will. The Magician holds the wand, and I think he's pointing up and pointing down, so it's the as above, so below. But you are the magician, Johnny. You are the magician of your own life, and it's that masculine energy, that masculine archetype of builder, of that outwards going force. So the masculine phallic type energy, being able to express your will in a way that helps you bring about, the type of reality that you seek. That is the Magician type energy, taking your reality into your own hands. I have to head out. Have a good day, man. Thank you, Johnny. I'm actually about to head out myself, probably in about the next 3 minutes or so. So if anybody has any questions, anything of that nature, go ahead and leave a question, and then I'll try to answer it as soon as I can. Make sure we're getting thumbs up in here as well. And as always, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Yes, you're welcome, Johnny. Always. I'm always up for talking about this sort of stuff. It's always enjoyable. Mi casa es su casa. Thank you for streaming. Yes, thank you for being here. 3ad Nomad. Thank you very much. This is what makes the videos enjoyable, because you guys start bringing up topics, and then that allows me to literally just stream my thoughts and all of those things in a way that's somewhat productive, you know, in a way that we can both learn from each other. So that mental stimuli, if you will. Oh, it is so nice outside. It is like perfect. It's not too hot and it is not cold. I love it. Here's the outside view of the woods that I normally walk back in. So that's the outside. And then the path is, I don't know if you can see the path, but it's right up through there. That's where you enter in the woods. All right, yeah, everybody, if there are no more questions, you know, I will leave the video where it's at then. And make sure you check out later, you know, I'd say in the next 6 hours or so. I do have a new video that I'm going to be posting very soon. It's not a super long video. It's probably close to 30 minutes or so. So I will be posting that sometime tonight. And then I'm also going to be working on some notes and some things for some future videos. So time to go back and maybe get some dinner and work on a little bit of that stuff. So, but yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and check on out. Peace and blessings, and until next time.